Hello everybody, this is Niclas Huschenbeth and I'm doing another match against one of my patrons. So recently I started an account on Patron, this funding page for people to support me financially, for me to reach a milestone at a specific amount, and that milestone goal is to interview a strong grandmaster once a month, and different grandmaster every month, of course, and get out their secrets and what they did to become really good in chess. So as one of the perks to support me, I'm doing these matches, and this is the second one. So my opponent is already waiting, so let's play my first move here. And we are playing the French. It's a 10-minute game, so it gives me a fair amount of time to talk about my moves, and also of course the moves of my opponent, because the idea is of this match to maybe highlight what's going on in this game and talk about what my opponent maybe can do or work on in the future to improve his chess. So we're having the French opening here, and my opponent played bishop d3, which is not the main line, but it is certainly a possible move. So I took on e4, bishop takes, and now the bishop most likely drops back to f3, which is actually not a bad square for the bishop by any means, because the bishop is keeping an eye on b7, and I might have difficulties later on to develop my bishop on c8. And now I'm wondering if I can go for c5 here right away. I think I will. I think I will try to put on some pressure on the center. He might just react by playing knight ge2, and he does. Now the question is, do I want to put on more pressure on the center? Knight c6. Question is if he's going to take then. But let's find out. So bishop takes c6, b takes c6. On the one hand, I'm having a double pawn then, but it's not a double pawn for long because these pawns will be exchanged. On the other hand, I would get his strong bishop. So it's kind of an exchange here. What I was looking at was bishop takes c6, b takes c6, and then a3, challenging my bishop on b4, and if I retreat to a5, then white can take on c5 and claim that pawn, and it doesn't look like I have ways to gain that pawn back. But after a3 I can just take on c3, I believe. Okay, so we have this position, and now I think I will just take on d4, and white can take back with the queen or with the knight. But in either case, if I want to, I can take on c3 and cause white to have a double pawn on the c file. And in general, this is something you want to do in many cases to weaken the pawn structure of your opponent. Okay, so we did this. Now I have to react to this threat. Knight takes c6. And if I play c5, he might play knight b5 and threatening knight c7. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here to figure out the best course of action. One idea is to play bishop a6 first of all, and actually how much do I like this? I like bishop a6. Bishop a6 is attacking the rook on f1, and if I want to, I can follow up with c5 in the next move, because now the knight cannot go to b5 anymore, but it can go to b3. Still I have to react to this threat of knight takes c6. So if I play rook c8, he could play bishop a3. So I play c5, I expect him to go back to b3. And then I can play rook c8 and then bishop a3. Putting on some more pressure on this pawn. I can again protect with knight d7. It's a little bit passive, but it looks like there's nothing better I can do. Because I don't want to play c4. That would just weaken my dark squares. And also give him again this nice square on d4. So I was a little bit worried about knight b3, not so much worried about knight c6, because I don't know where this knight is really going. It looks nice for the moment, but it isn't doing as much. So I could just castle. I could play bishop b7. Some options here to consider. Still have to keep an eye on bishop a3. Could also play rook c8. I like rook c8. Making use of the fact that after knight takes a7, I can play rook c7 and then pick up the knight on a7. But I might have missed something there, actually. I might have missed something there. I might have made a mistake, because after knight takes a7, rook c7, there's a Zwischenzug, what kind of a move that creates a threat is rook b1, aiming rook b8. This might have actually been possible, and I'm a little bit lucky here that my opponent didn't play it. So now I will keep my king in the center. Usually the standard rule is if the queens have been exchanged and there's nothing wrong with putting the king in the center, then you can do that. Here, of course, I am in this pin, but for now my rook is defending the pawn on c5 and it should be all good. Now rook d1. Okay, I'll play knight e4. Yeah, my pawn on c5 is definitely a liability in this position. Oh, I just made a mistake. Well, yeah, kind of a mistake. I want to, after rook takes d8, I want to take back with the rook, but this runs into a fork, knight c6. So if he takes on d8, I have to take with the king, which is dropping this pawn on f7. Which is not ideal, but it's not as bad because I'm also aiming at taking on c3. A bigger problem could be rook d1 check, in fact. Okay, takes on f7. So we'll go over this game afterwards in any case, and look at the different possibilities me and my opponent had. So knight takes c3. So this position is probably around equal. Right now I really like my knight on c3. It's taking away the squares d1 and b1, which are the squares the rook would like to be placed on, because those are the open files. So bishop b2. So I can either give a check or I can play knight a4. Forcing the bishop to probably move away. Okay, I'll play knight a4. Because I was thinking about knight e2 check, king h1, knight d4, but then probably just rook d1 is unpleasant for me. And this knight is very well placed on e5, and you can see I cannot move my rook to b8 or d8 right now because of knight c6. So I have to move my king. And now I can at least move my king to f6 or d6. Probably to f6, because after king d6 I'll run right into bishop f4. Because I really want to activate my rook and play rook d8. So bishop f4 might be possible now. And then I cannot play rook d8 because of bishop g5 check, so I have to keep an eye on this little tactic in the position. Bishop f4 I can probably just play g5 first and then follow with rook d8. g5 also makes a lot of sense to push the bishop away and limit its influence. Knight d7 is another move that is possible. I could repeat moves with king e7 of course, but I might probably go for king to f5. A little bit more active. Of course white could also retreat with knight f3. It might actually be a decent move because it also prevents me from playing rook d8 because of bishop g5 once again. So we have this variation we talked about briefly, and now I could play knight c3 again with the idea of knight e2. Could also play rook d8. Rook d8 maybe just knight f3 and the bishop might come to e5, which would be a little bit annoying. So let me play knight c3. I want to exchange this bishop now. I don't want the bishop to come to e5. That would be really a strong square for the bishop. So my threat now is to play knight e2 check, followed by knight takes g3 in this. Not much I was about to say that white can do, but knight g4 is an interesting try, to say the very least. So can I be active here? That's the question. Can I get away with being active? I think I can. I can play king f5 and knight e3, king e4. And an active king is always a very double-edged situation. On the one hand, if you get away with it, then your active king can really cause trouble. But on the other hand, maybe you run into some tactics, some checks, some mating net even. So you have to be careful. But here knight e3, king e4, now he plays f3 now. So at least I can get rid of the bishop now, which I will do. Check and take on g3. And then I'll place my rook on the open file. Rook d8. Gives a check. I go to e5. Now I could give another check, which is a little bit annoying. And I have to repeat moves. But you can always try for once and see how your opponent reacts. And my opponent doesn't play knight g4 here, but goes for the endgame. And this endgame looks very promising for me because my king is so active. That's one of the most important principles in the endgame. Activate your king, right? Still, not that clear yet. However, I have some targets here. Target is g2 pawn, and also his knight is very passive. So his idea might be to play knight f2 now, bring the knight to e4. So I can Do I want to go bishop b7? Maybe not necessarily. Okay, I'll go bishop b7 for now. Now c3 is coming. And he's kind of pushing me out. Okay, let's just see what happens here. I play h5 with the idea to play h4. c3 check. But yeah, now maybe king e3, but still I can play h4. Or bishop a6. Bishop a6, I'm hinting at playing bishop to f1 now. Hinting at this possibility. f4 check. Okay, I take and play king f5. g3, okay. It's interesting. I thought I could play king g4 now, but maybe it is not as strong as I hoped it would be. Yeah, maybe this is actually going to end in a draw. Okay, I'll play bishop b7. Knight f2, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can do much more here in this situation. Okay, let's try. Let's try. And try to create something. I mean, we're not playing for anything here, but it would be surprising if I can win this somehow. If I had taken on h4 and knight takes e6, picks up the pawn c5 as well, of course. So I'd rather play like this, and I have a target here on c4. Maybe I can do something with this, maybe. I'll just try. Maybe knight e1, knight d3 now could be a good plan. Knight d2. It's also a good plan, yeah. Oh, knight b3 even. Didn't see that one coming. Okay, I think it's time to steer this towards a draw here before I lose. Now my king is a little bit offside here. Knight e4. Okay, I can bring my king back. And I will offer a draw here. Alright, We fought until the kings. Good game by my opponent. And I'll now take definitely some time to go over this game and see where we both could have improved. I think it was a fairly even game, which was not clearly better for either side. I thought I had good chance in the end game, but then I either didn't play accurately enough or there was just not that much there. So let's go over the opening. So bishop d3 here, the main moves, or the one and only main move I would say, is e5. Of course white has other options, just like a3, knight g2, bishop d2 even, maybe. But bishop d3 is also possible. It's just quieter and it's not as ambitious, I would say. Bishop f3, and now I played c5 right away, which I believe is fine. Knight g2 and knight c6. I could also play differently here, of course. I could castle and then maybe play knight b7. It would be a different kind of position, but I want to dissolve the tension in the center right away. So b takes c6, castle. Now I take on d4, and I thought this endgame might be favorable for me, but it's probably just equal because my dark squares are weakened. So if I don't take on d4 here, I could also castle, but then probably white can, for example, play a3 and force me to take on c3, and yeah, this is probably also more or less equal, even though I like bishop a6 here. A little bit annoying, maybe, but maybe not too much. So takes d4, going into the endgame I think was the right decision by my opponent here. Queen takes, knight takes, bishop takes c3, pawn takes. Now bishop a6 I think is fine, rook e1, c5, knight c6. I was expecting knight b3, and then rook c8, bishop a3. Like I said, I don't want to play c4 because it really weakens my dark squares, so probably have to go knight d7, but now rook d1 is already creating this threat of taking on d7. That means I have to move my bishop. Maybe bishop c4, bishop b5. Now maybe white can double on the d file, and doesn't look like I'm having anything here. If so, white is having some pressure on me. Yeah, it's not clear how I get out of this situation really, unless I was to play bishop c4 here and really decide to exchange this knight, which is certainly not something I want to do. There might be one other option. Bishop b5, rook d2, and maybe a5 now. Is that possible? The point is, of course, to play a4 and push this knight away. And if knight takes a5, then I might have rook a8. And but there's knight b7, which is ruining all the fun. Point being that after rook takes a3, knight d6 picks up the bishop on b5, even though here I've certainly improved my position. But this is probably still around equal. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this move, but knight b3 was definitely an alternative worth considering. So knight c6, rook c8, and rook c8 might have been a mistake, because here knight takes a7. It's quite possible that this was playable for white, and now rook b1 I missed. The point is that here my rook on ah would be gone. And if I cope with this threat, then white can just play knight to b5 and save the knight. So let's say king e7, just knight b5. Yeah, it looks like I blundered a pawn there, and was lucky that my opponent missed it. Okay, so knight e5. Now king e7. Yeah, I'm thinking about any alternatives here. I'm not sure if I have any. Maybe knight d5, is that doing anything? Maybe knight d5 is an interesting alternative. To immediately ask some questions here. How is white going to defend the pawn on c3? And if c4, I can go to b4 and ask some questions here. And also now f6 is in a position and this pawn on c4 is weak. Yeah, knight d5 might have been a better move at this point, because if white needs to play bishop d2, bishop b2, and at least the bishop is not as active as it was in the game. So king e7, bishop a3, maybe here I moved a little bit too fast, not sure. But at this point already it's too late to play knight d5, because white can either play c4, well this might be fine for me after knight b4, but rook d1 simply here. Now if I take on c3, white can play rook d7, so probably rook d8. But now already c4 is coming, then rook takes d8. So I play rook d8 immediately, rook d1. White could have also taken the other rook here. I think that might have been a little bit more natural, but it doesn't make a big difference. But the rook, if you probably often get into a situation where you have to choose a rook and just see if one rook is already doing something, right? And here in this case the rook on e1 is already doing something on the e file, is a little bit more active than the rook on a1. So rook ed1, now knight e4, yeah, I'm not sure how happy I'm about this move. But at this point, probably is not too much I can do anyway. I mean, I can probably play something like knight d7 here, and then all of this can be exchanged maybe. Maybe not, yeah. Maybe white can even play a move like rook d4 here. Yeah, rook d4 seems good. Oh, king e8. Oh, there's maybe rook a4. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have any advantage here anymore. So I played knight e4, I missed rook takes d8, king that I have to take with the king. I thought I could play rook takes d8, but there's knight c6. So king takes d8. Now rook d1 was also possible. With the idea to enter on the 7th rank, but maybe I can play king e8 here. And if now rook d7, I have f6. And maybe not, rook takes a7 could be a good reply here. And white seems to be in good shape. Yeah, that was certainly an alternative for white. To activate the rook like this. Okay. So knight takes f7, king e7, knight e5 back, knight takes c3 and bishop b2. Here first I want to play knight e2 and knight d4, but now rook d1. And if I take on c2, the rook is coming to d7, it's become very active. And it's not clear what I can do here really. My rook cannot move to b8 or d8 because of knight c6. And if king f6, yeah, I mean in the worst case white can play f4, but there's also knight d7 maybe sometimes, and even taking on c5. I'm definitely not better here. So I tried knight e4 to push the bishop off the diagonal. Bishop c1, king f6, bishop f4. g5, like I said, rook d8 would run into bishop g5 here. It's definitely a motive you can keep in mind for the future. Nice little trick. And I think g5 is good. Bishop g3 and knight c3. What other options do I have here? I could play h5 to threaten h4. Maybe this is better, just to gain some more space. Maybe White could maybe play the f4. Not sure. Yeah, maybe f4 might be a good move here. But maybe now I can play something like knight c3. Okay, probably all of these variations are more or less equal, I would say. So knight c3, knight g4 check, king f5. So if white goes knight e3 check, now I'll go to e4. And rook e1, I can just play knight e2 check and keep my knight on e2 for now and just activate my pieces, something like rook d8. And this looks pretty good for me. So f3. Now I just want to get rid of this bishop. I'm not sure how necessary that actually is. I could also play rook d8 here, but then I didn't like knight e3 check, I guess. But actually, how terrible is that? Not that terrible. I'm threatening rook d2. So probably white has to go back. Let's say king e7 is bishop e5, so maybe king g6. I mean, white could always play bishop e1, something like that. Yeah. Not sure. Okay, let's see the game. Knight e2, king f2. Here. Knight f4 would be also an alternative. Or I don't have to move the knight, but I kind of want to. Knight f4 would be another move that's possible. But now probably white can play rook d1. I want to come first, putting my rook on the d file. So that's why I took on g3. Played rook d8 now. Knight e3 check, king e5 here. White could have just played knight g4 again, and I have to go back, because if I go here, then the rook exchange happens under way less favorable conditions than it happened in the game, right? So here after knight g4 I have to go back to f5, then knight e3 check, and then probably go to f6. Yeah, now white could play rook d1, or maybe just king e1. I think is also a very decent choice, just to defend against rook d2. And this is probably also pretty equal. Yeah. Here in the endgame I was happy, but maybe I overestimated my chance. I don't know. This is certainly the position where I had my most chances, I would say, in the game. And here I didn't follow up with the right plan. If there is one, I don't know. And maybe there is nothing here. Could be very well the case. Could be very well the case. Let's look at this for a moment. I'm just curious. So I'm threatening c3. White cannot play c3 himself because of king d3. My king would be too active. So king d2 is the only move. Now c3, knight takes c3, and bishop f1. Trying to get this pawn, of course, right on g2. And if I can get this pawn at least, I might have a passed pawn, right? Here. If knight e4, then maybe just h6. Very complicated. Very complicated. I'm looking at variations like this. But here I could even probably put my bishop on h1. And here with knight e2 check, and can probably just move my king. Yeah. And f4, just g4. And I'll take on g2, and maybe this gives me more chances than what happened in the game. So there's one option to play c4 and c3. Another option would be to go h5, h4. What I didn't like here maybe was that the knight could come to e4, hitting both c5 and g5. But if knight f2, there's also king c3 now, which looks interesting. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be too worried about this move. I feel like I could figure something out here, even though I'm not sure yet what, but maybe something like this. And here I'm quite active, and I think have good chances. The general rule of thumb is that the bishop is better on both sides of the board, right? Whereas the knight operates better on just one side, the queen side or the king side. So maybe after h5, king d2. Well, king d2, and now okay, bishop f1, knight e3, right? So that doesn't help me much. So h4. Okay, let's say white takes. Yeah, it seems that white is probably in time here again to play c3 and to play king e3. But it seems at least I can ask some more questions here, because as it happened in the game, it was just very simple for white to defend. Bishop b7 was not the right way to go here. So maybe c4 is the best try, but bishop b7 was definitely a mistake here, because here white just plays c3, puts the king on e3, activates the king, and yeah, maybe I should try h4 here nonetheless, to at least have this pawn on h4 and to at least have the target on g2. Because as in the game, white plays f4, rightly so. Probably even here still should play king f5. But yeah, I don't really think I can claim much here anymore. Probably king e4 even is possible. Nah, king e5, king g4. So maybe not king e4. Yeah, this is actually still some chances, I would say. Still some chances. Okay. So here definitely that was the last chance to keep any kind of fire or potential in the position when I took on f4, king f5 and g3, and I thought I could go king g4 here, but white just plays king f2 followed by knight e3 and it's completely safe. So the rest of the game really doesn't change anything. I don't think anything happened here. At some point I even have to be a little bit careful that I don't lose, right? So good game by aka.pop.tarts. Pretty even game, I would say. Like I said, maybe towards the end I had some chance, but I feel like with correct defense probably white would hold in any case. So that was a little bit longer than the first game we played. There was more to talk about, and I hope this in-depth analysis helped. And then I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.